Welcome to my next new look rebuild here on Madden 23 or post-draft rebuild, whatever you want to call it. Today I am using the Los Angeles Chargers and my rules are pretty simple. I have 3 seasons to win a Super Bowl, otherwise the rebuild is a failure. I've tried to rebuild the Chargers before and I don't know if I'm just really bad at rebuilding the Chargers themselves or if the Chargers are cursed in Madden 23. But here is the offense we will start with. We have Justin Herbert, Austin Ekeler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and in the first round they drafted Quentin Johnston out of TCU. Unless I'm wrong, the only big addition I saw that they added in free agency is middle linebacker Eric Kendricks. Now he is a superstar depth trait, 86 overall, and he does fit the scheme, so that should be just fine. We also have 3 X Factors with Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, and Derwin James. The weakest points on this defense right now are probably along the D-line and at free safety, a 71 overall. In order to help the weakness at free safety, I'm going to be signing free safety John Johnson III. And then to help out the defensive line a little bit, we'll sign defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh to a 1-year deal. This next move may not be very popular among Chargers fans, but it would save a lot in cap space, and I think our receiver talent is enough to make up for the loss. We're going to trade wide receiver Keenan Allen. We trade him over to the New England Patriots to give Mac Jones a solid wide receiver 1, and in return, we pick up a first-round pick. We're going to sign one more free agent before I actually simulate through the preseason. That'll be right tackle Brian Bulaga. Following all of those moves and trading away Keenan Allen, here is your offense for week 1 of season 1. And right now, Rashawn Slater is actually injured and will miss the first 3 weeks of the season, so I signed Eric Fisher to be left tackle. That way Justin Herbert doesn't die. Then here is your starting defense for season 1. Obviously, we added guys like Ndamukong Suh and John Johnson, and the Chargers in real life signed Eric Kendricks, so hopefully this linebacking unit is pretty solid for us. My expectations for season 1, I would say let's just make the playoffs and get a win. In real life last year, they managed to get to the playoffs and then had a pretty embarrassing loss to Jacksonville. Let's try to avoid doing that again. So if we can at least win a playoff game or possibly 2 here in season 1, I'll feel real confident going into the later seasons. At the end of season 1, we have managed to go 12-5 and actually win the division over the 10-7 Chiefs. We finished with the 4th best offense in the league and the 13th best defense. Let's see where we rank everywhere else. We are 8th in offensive points per game, 2nd in passing yards per game, and 3rd in defensive points per game. Justin Herbert goes for 5,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Running the ball, Austin Ekeler goes for 1,100 yards and 18 touchdowns. Isaiah Spiller also found the end zone 6 times. Receiving, Mike Williams as the wide receiver 1 definitely had a solid season. 113 catches, 1,500 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Josh Palmer with 7 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston with 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns as a rookie. An incredible season from him. Gerald Everett with 800 yards and 4 touchdowns. What about defense? Eric Kendricks led the team in tackles with 129. Sacks goes to Joey Bosa with 11.5. Khalil Mack had 11. And interceptions, Asante Samuel Jr. got 5. There were 4 quarterbacks to go over 5,000 yards this season. Dak Prescott led the way with 5,400, then Joe Burrow, followed by Justin Herbert, and then Jacoby Brissett in Washington throws for 5,000 yards. In touchdowns, Russell Wilson had a bounce-back year definitely in Denver with 46 touchdowns, and interceptions goes to Trevor Lawrence and Geno Smith, who both threw 19. Running the ball, Josh Jacobs with 1,600 yards led the league, and also in touchdowns with 24. And then receiving, let me guess, yeah, it's Cooper Kupp. It's always Cooper Kupp. 136 catches, 1,900 yards, and 17 touchdowns will all lead the league, except for he tied with George Pickens with 17 touchdowns. We get into the playoffs as the 2 seed this year. Under the old playoff format, Kansas City wouldn't have even made the playoffs. We will jump into this game. It is 1st and 10, down by 8 with 3.5 minutes to go. From the 17-yard line, Herbert in shotgun will take the snap. A quick throw downfield that'll be caught by Josh Palmer all the way down to the 9-yard line. That leads to a 2nd and 2. Herbert in shotgun. 3 minutes to play here. Ekeler is the running back. He will send Ekeler in motion. Now Herbert is the only one in the backfield here. Now we're under 3 minutes to play. Herbert will take the snap. A quick throw again that is caught, and that'll be down inside the 1-yard line. Never mind, they ruled that he got into the end zone, I believe. Okay, no, they did not. That was Donald Parham down to the 1-yard line. So now from a goal line set, we toss it out to Ekeler on the outside, and he will get into the end zone. Touchdown, Chargers. Can we tie the game? Herbert will line up under center from the 2-yard line. Ekeler is the one in the backfield. He'll take the snap, looking for a quick pass to the end zone, and we are all tied up at 31. We jump ahead to the 2-minute warning for Kansas City. It is 2nd and 3 from their own 27. Mahomes in shotgun will take the snap and look to pass. A quick throw to the outside, caught by Kelsey for the first down. Both teams still have all 3 timeouts. 1st and 10 from the 35. Mahomes looking to pass. He throws to the outside. That is caught, and it'll be quickly brought down. 2nd and 4. They did force him out of bounds, so it stops the clock. From the 41-yard line, 1:39 to play. Mahomes out of shotgun again. Will look to pass, and he fires over the middle to an open man. That is caught by Sky Moore to the 43. The Chiefs are nearing field goal range. 1st and 10 with a minute to go in the game. They hand off up the middle to Pacheco, and he is going nowhere. Under a minute to play. It's 2nd and 10 from the 43-yard line. Mahomes is back in shotgun. It's another handoff to Pacheco up the middle, and he'll get some positive yards, this time brought down by Kenneth Murray. That leads to a 3rd and 4 with under 40 seconds to play. Mahomes from under center, and that'll be a timeout for Kansas City. They come back out under center for the next play. Mahomes will take the snap. They give it to Pacheco up the middle, and he'll get the first down, and Moore finally brought down at the 24-yard line. With 26 seconds to play, Mahomes out of shotgun, handoff to Pacheco up the middle. He has another huge lane and another first down. They will line up for a 29-yard field goal to try to advance in the playoffs. With 5 seconds to go, the kick is away, and it is good. Barring a miracle, this will be the final play of the game. They kick it deep. Can we get a touchback? No, we can't. They field it at the 5-yard line. He's across the 20, jukes out one player, and will be brought down there. We will not be advancing in the playoffs. Justin Herbert goes 17 for 34, 197 yards and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, 29 for 39, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Isaiah Pacheco with 77 yards and 2 scores. Austin Eckler ran in for 1. Isaiah Spiller ran in for 2. And receiving, Travis Kelce, 6 for 67, no touchdowns. Kadarius Toney got a touchdown, and Mike Williams got a touchdown. The Chiefs make it all the way to the Super Bowl and lose to the Rams 24-17. Super Bowl MVP goes to wide receiver Cooper Kupp. NFL MVP goes to Russell Wilson. Coach of the Year is Doug Peterson. Offensive Player of the Year also goes to Cooper Kupp. Defensive Player of the Year is Von Miller. And then Offensive Rookie of the Year is George Pickens. And Defensive Rookie of the Year is Aiden Hutchinson. I really can't do anything about last year's rookies winning the Rookie of the Year in Madden 23. I'm sorry for that. The first contract I'm offering out here is the free safety John Johnson. He wants a 3-year deal. I am fine with that, and he has accepted. I tried to bring back Cameron Dicker, but he has no re-sign interest, so he is not coming back, and I'm letting everyone else walk, so we will be going into free agency with $30 million in cap space. We did manage to get Justin Herbert up to a superstar X Factor here, which is obviously nice to see. We still have Austin Eckler and Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston. Josh Palmer is still a solid wide receiver too. We may see if there is an upgrade available and see if we can trade away Josh Palmer for right now. But at right tackle, we definitely need some help here because that is not going to be good for a 69 overall. The defense was pretty solid last season, and we get to keep everybody here. Joey Bosa, Eric Kendricks, Kenneth Murray, and Khalil Mack. We brought back John Johnson. Derwin James is still here as well. And we have Asante Samuel and J.C. Jackson. We may look to add another corner if there's a good one in free agency, but the main look here is going to be defensive line. I'm only going to target 3 players here in free agency. There is not a lot of big names here that could immediately help us out, which is generally how it goes for the first offseason, if I'm being completely honest. But I've offered a contract to William Jackson, Andrew Billings, and Josh Nijman. I have no idea if I'm saying his name right, but hopefully all 3 of them will sign here in the first stage. They are all 3 gone because they are now all 3 members of the Chargers. As we get ready to start the NFL draft, if you've never seen any of my rebuilds before, the way I do things is I only pick in the first 3 rounds, and then I let the computer take over from there and pick the rest of the draft. A couple reasons. 1, I am terrible at drafting in the late round, and 2, it feels like a lot of luck anyway, so I just let the computer handle it. Jumping into the draft, we own pick number 24. We're going to take this trade with the Falcons, fall back to 27, pick up a 3rd rounder this year and a 5th rounder next year, and I'm not going to guarantee this is the only trade back I'm going to have. But let's see who the Falcons have now traded up to select. With pick 24, they're going to take a left tackle out of Ole Miss, and then we'll go ahead and simulate the next couple picks as well. The Giants are going to take a left guard out of South Carolina, and Jacksonville is going to take an outside linebacker out of Florida State. Like I said, that was probably not the only trade down I was going to take. We're going to take this one from Miami to fall back to 30 and pick up a 3rd and a 7th rounder this year. Now we can see who the Dolphins traded up to get. At pick 27, they moved up to get left tackle Sal Bass out of Alabama. And with pick 28, the Baltimore Ravens are going to take a defensive back out of Tennessee. And now we have back-to-back picks. We are finally going to make a pick in this draft. We're going to take right tackle Tremaine Bassey out of Louisville. He has A, awareness, B, pass block. We're going to go and take him, and he will be a hidden depth trait. And with pick 30, I'm going to take a little bit of a risk because Kendall Philbin, a defensive end out of Ohio State, is listed as a projection of around 2 to 3, but he has A, block shedding, B, tackle, one of the more athletic defensive ends in the class. We're going to go and take him, and he will come in as a normal depth trait, which does suck, but I knew that was a risk. Now in the second round with pick 24, we're going to take defensive tackle Tyler Ross out of Ohio State, and he will come in with a hidden depth trait. Now we jump to the third round where we have pick 24 and 2 other picks in this round, but the first one we're going to use on left guard Dwayne Sharpton out of Kentucky, and he will have a normal depth trait. Just a couple picks later, we're going to take right guard Mike Barnhart here with the 27th pick in the third round, and he will come in with a normal depth trait as well. 29th pick here in the third round, we're actually going to trade this one away to Green Bay and pick up a third rounder for next year and a 7th rounder for the computer to use in this draft. Let's take a look at the draft recap. We got a 73 overall right tackle, a 73 overall right end, a 71 overall defensive tackle, a 66 overall left guard, a 66 overall right guard, a 67 overall tight end, a 68 overall corner, 63 overall right tackle, a 66 corner, a 66 safety, and a 66 outside linebacker. So not a terrific draft class, but I'm fine with the first round pick in Tremaine Bassey. The best player in the draft was Darian Walls, the number 1 overall pick who Seattle took. He comes in as an 80 overall. Here is the starting offense for season 2 of this rebuild. Obviously we have a 91 overall in Justin Herbert, who is now a superstar X Factor. We added Bassey at right tackle, so now we have a hidden depth trait there. And then our receivers are Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, and Quentin Johnston. On defense, I don't think we added as much help to the D-line as I really wanted to. We drafted Philbin and Ross, who are both going to be immediate starters, but I still think this defense is going to be massively carried by the linebackers. I don't want to jinx this team. The last couple times I've done rebuilds, after we had a really good season, we tend to suck the next year. But hopefully this time we can get back to the playoffs and maybe at least win a game or two. So pretty much the same exact expectations of last season that we did not meet because we failed to win a single playoff game. And there we go. For whatever reason, in the second season, I'm always awful with the Chargers. We finished 8-9. We have the number 17 offense in points per game, but the number 23 defense. Herbert throws for 4,900 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Running the ball, Austin Eckler goes for 1,000 yards and 15 scores. Receiving, Mike Williams, 98 catches, 1,200 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Josh Palmer with 7 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston with 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. And then let's check out the defense here. Leading the team in tackles is going to be Kenneth Murray. I'm actually a little shocked to see that. Did Eric Kendricks get injured or did Murray just play better? In sacks, we go to Joey Bosa for 14 and Khalil Mack got 13.5. Interceptions goes to Kenneth Murray, who got 4. He apparently had a really solid season. Russell Wilson led the league in passing yards with 5,300. Touchdowns goes to CJ Stroud with 42 in Houston, so he seems to be playing pretty well. And interceptions goes to Trevor Lawrence with 20. Running the ball, Derrick Henry goes for 1,600 yards, and touchdowns goes to Josh Jacobs with 18. Receiving, leading the league in receptions is Amon-Ra St. Brown. In receiving yards is also St. Brown. And in touchdowns. Okay, so he got a triple crown this season. This season's Super Bowl goes to the Washington Commanders, led by Jacoby Brissett by a final score of 13-10 over Baltimore. The NFL MVP is Lamar Jackson. Coach of the Year is Lovie Smith. Offensive Player of the Year is St. Brown. Defensive Player of the Year is Max Crosby. Offensive Rookie of the Year is a quarterback in Tampa. And Defensive Rookie of the Year is the defensive end that the Seahawks took with the number 1 pick. We don't have a ton of cap space this season, but we are going to try to bring back Austin Eckler on a 4-year contract. He's still a 90 overall. I know in real life people tend to not like him, but in Madden, he's still a solid overall. So we're going to offer a 4-year contract, and he is re-signing. We only have $11 million in cap space right now, so as much as I want to bring back Gerald Everett, I really don't think we can, so we're going to let everyone else walk here. Going into free agency, I would say tight end is a pretty massive need. I don't think a 68 overall tight end is really going to work out, but I'm fine with the way the receivers look for right now. Mike Williams is an 89, Josh Palmer is an 82, and Quentin Johnston is an 80 overall. We still have 90 overall Austin Eckler as well. Clearly something was wrong on defense last season. I don't know what exactly it was. I know the linebackers still look good. The problem though is I can't sign anybody. We have very little cap space, and Khalil Mack is very expensive for an 82 overall. Trading away Khalil Mack would free up $23 million in cap space, and we are definitely going to need that for this free agency. We're going to offer Khalil Mack and our first round pick this year to the New York Jets to try to move up 11 spots in the draft all the way to pick number 4. Let's go ahead and submit that, and we don't feel the offer. How? That's full. That's not full, actually. There was like a sliver of like blue there. Okay, so we'll throw in a 7th round pick in the next draft here, and they take that one. So we free up Khalil Mack, they get a good linebacker, and now we have the number 4 pick. Here are the 3 contracts I am throwing out in free agency. We're going to try to get wide receiver Gabe Davis. Honestly, we had the cap space. I feel like adding more weapons is never a bad idea. A right outside linebacker, I don't want to try to say his name, but he's only 1 overall point lower than Khalil Mack, and he's actually a scheme fit. And then tight end Luke Musgrave was in free agency with his 90 speed being a scheme fit, if I can talk here. So we'll jump to the next stage, and everyone has signed, and they have all signed with us. Now that we're at the NFL draft, let's see where the first 3 picks here go. With the number 1 pick, the Seattle Seahawks are going to take quarterback Charlie White out of North Carolina. With the number 2 pick, the Colts are going to take a defensive end out of LSU. And with the 3rd pick in the draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars take left tackle Braylon Sims out of Texas A&M. We are going to trade this pick away. We're going to trade it to Minnesota and pick up the 6th overall pick and a 3rd and a 6th rounder in this draft. I have found the player I want to take, but he is not a top 5 talent here. So let's see who the Vikings have taken with pick 4. They're going to take quarterback Alex McDonald out of Notre Dame, and with pick 5, the Arizona Cardinals have taken an outside linebacker out of Alabama. We're also going to take this pick from the Buffalo Bills. They're going to give us a 1st and a 2nd rounder in this draft, and we fall all the way back to pick number 12, which is I think about right where I want to take that player. Now with the 12th pick in the draft, we're going to take defensive end Deacon Smith. He comes in with B block shedding, B power move, A tackle. He's decently athletic. We're going to go and select him, and he will come in with a hidden depth trait. I know in the last draft I took a defensive tackle with a hidden depth trait. Well, he is now down to a normal depth trait, so we're going to try this again. Defensive tackle Roman Bass with C block shading and C finesse move. That's not great, but does have B power move. He also has B awareness and A play rec. So we're going to take Roman Bass, and he will also be a hidden depth trait. And now with pick 15 here in the 2nd round, I'm going to take tight end Nathan Green out of Miami. B catching traffic, A catching, B run block. The fastest tight end in the class. We're going to go ahead and bring him in, and he will also have a hidden depth trait. In the 3rd round, we're going to take left guard Derek Holiday out of UCF. He comes in with B awareness and A impact blocking. With that B awareness, I don't expect a hidden depth trait, but we'll see. He actually is a hidden depth trait. You don't see that often with offensive linemen. With pick 15 in the 3rd round, we're going to take middle linebacker Jonathan Ballard. This is probably a risk because his tackle is rated C to F. I really don't know what his tackling is going to be, but I know he has B awareness and A to C play rec, and he's decently fast. So we're going to take him. He's also a scheme fit, and Ballard will be our first normal depth trait. And finally, at the end of the 3rd round, we're going to take outside linebacker Daryl Lucas out of Nebraska. He has B tackle and B zone coverage. He seems to be decently fast, and he has A awareness, which is the main thing I'm looking for here, and he will be a normal depth trait. We ended up with a 73 overall left end, a 73 overall defensive tackle, a 76 overall tight end in the 2nd round, a 72 overall guard, a 67 overall middle linebacker, and a 65 overall right outside linebacker. Then a 63 overall quarterback, a 64 overall safety, a 67 overall defensive end, a 66 outside linebacker, 65 left tackle, 64 middle linebacker, and a 68 receiver. The best player in the draft was once again taken number 1 overall by Seattle and quarterback Charlie White. He comes in as an 82 overall already. Let's just go ahead and look to go see if he is going to be an X factor, because if so, that is a generational talent for Seattle here, which are honestly pretty rare, I think, to actually show up. And yeah, he's a superstar X Factor, so good on Seattle, I guess. Here is now your starting offense for the final season of this rebuild, where it is Super Bowl or bust. We have a 93 overall Justin Herbert, an 89 overall Mike Williams, an 87 overall Gabe Davis. We have Quinn Johnson and Josh Palmer, who are both an 81 overall, and then we added Musgrave at tight end. We also drafted Green, who will be the starter. On defense, none of the guys that we drafted are immediately good enough to start over these guys, so it'll be mostly the same defense that we had last season, except for we no longer have Khalil Mack, but we still have an 82 overall right outside linebacker that is now actually a scheme fit, so I'm hoping this defense can be a little bit better. As we get ready to simulate the final season, we are an 85 overall offense, an 85 overall defense, so we are an 85 overall team. I personally believe that should be good enough to get us into the playoffs, but let's see how much Madden hates me this time. The expectation for this season is definitely a Super Bowl, even though we have yet to win a playoff game. That has to be the expectation, otherwise the rebuild is a failure. Justin Herbert finishes this final season with 4,700 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Running the ball, Austin Eckler only goes for 700 yards and 10 touchdowns. Receiving, Mike Williams, 99 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Gabe Davis got 12 touchdowns. Quentin Johnson ended up with 7. Let's see about defense. That goes to Eric Kendricks with 144 tackles. In sacks, the outside linebacker I got to replace Khalil Mack. Sorry, I can't pronounce his name. And then I think that was Joey Bosa that also got 11.5. It was. Interceptions, John Johnson got 5. Russell Wilson leads the league in passing yards again with 5,100. Touchdowns goes to Justin Herbert with 43. Interceptions goes to Raymond Duval, the quarterback in Tampa, who threw 21. Running the ball, Josh Jacobs got the most yards and probably the most touchdowns. He did with 24 of them. Receiving, Cooper Kupp still putting up insane numbers, 126 catches, 2,100 yards, and 21 touchdowns. But sadly, it was not enough to even make the playoffs this season. We go 10-7, completely missed the playoffs. We finished with the 3rd offense in points per game, but the defense was awful. The 21st defense in points per game. So this rebuild goes down as a failure. I don't know if the Chargers are just cursed or what defense I need to try to use with them, but either way, this rebuild is a failure.